So if you're looking at the same technique from the same kata in different lineages, you will know that there are very sometimes small, sometimes bigger differences in the execution of the technique. That is in the how can I say, geometry, in the trajectories, and all of that. And also, there's a difference in the terminology used by the different schools. For example, Taiya Shinken himself, he called this technique, he called it a Giran Uke, a lower block. While today many refer to this as Giran Uke, right? So, but it's clearly written in his book, in the description of Sushin Kundai, this is Giran Uke. So basically Taiya said, well, this is a deflection on the lower level, right? And he did it like this. Like this, right? Sometimes like this. Sometimes he would be, if he would be very, like I say, vital, then he would go past it. He would go a little over the center line, which makes sense because, of course, you can protect your front leg. If you say, I want to protect my front leg, but your rear leg is still there. So it might be better to do it like this. And by the way, Ryo Konkai and Matayoshi Kobudo, they do it like this, right? So you got all the lower part covered. You got it all protected. But they leave the left hand on the outside. And if you swing the ball, which is heavy, right? It's difficult to manipulate. So to get power in it, dang, you get a lot of power in it when you do it like this. Then other schools, Okinawa, they do a more formalized version like this, which is difficult to execute. So they start here from a vertical position, and then they go around, and usually they ask you to stop after the front leg, because their interpretation is that, or the attack might go to the front leg like this, right? So it's always the same interpretation. And anywhere in the kata, in the whole curriculum, it's always the same technique, so it's standardized. There's no variation, there's no tactical differences between Soei-ishi and Shatanyama, Sakugawa, or Shushi. It's all the same. So it has been standardized at one point, probably maybe in the 80s or something, or it was started by Taira probably. So yeah, and then they call this Giran Barai, right? So it's Giran Barai. So differences, like Ryo Konkai, Matayoshi Kobudo, they do it like this, which is very powerful, right? It's almost a strike. So you hit the enemy's attacking weapon, which also is apparently, obviously considered to be a lower level attack. So if you look at Inui Motogatsu, he was a student of Taiya Shinken. He has several different terminology, as well as several different kinds of execution. So there are already more variations in it than they have been in Taiya's case, and that is correct because the student is supposed to interpret and continue to develop things and ideas, and also every student is different. For example, some student might be a theater actor. He has probably she probably very different ideas than a guy who is a circus clown, or maybe a guy who is an Olympic fencer. So all these people, they're gonna have a different idea, and all of them are good. Okay, all of these ideas are very, very good and valid. So, but of course, if you're in an association, and I was thinking about, you could call it like something like ASOK, like Association Kobudo, like the same as in football, like, you know. So Association Kobudo is, of course, there's a regularity, and everybody has to be in line with that. So also when you have Dantai Embu, a group performance demonstration, then everybody is doing perfectly the same, like in synchronous swimming. So everybody's doing the same, right? There's no variation. There's no individuality, right, in that. So everything is just perfectly described from the idea, from the sensei. So you look at it, and again, Taya Shinken, he called it Ginanuke, and then some of his students, he call it Ginabarai, because there is a collision, right, a terminological collision. So if this is Ginanuke, you cannot also call this Ginanuke, because it's different technique. So, and then, again, Inui Mukatsu, usually he call it Mamori. Mamori is without a definition. There's no definition to it. It doesn't say lower level, it doesn't say block, it doesn't say this or that, it's just defense. So it's open, and it's usually, they hold it like this. So what it can be a lower level deflection. It can be a middle level deflection from an incoming strike here, right? So it can go to this side, or it can go to this side, right? So there is a much higher variety in possible practical applications in the terminology alone. So it's still standardized. So at some points you would just push it like this. You would go like forward like this. And some points you would do like this. So you would block here and then go forward. So it's actually two things. It's 1 and 2, right? 1 and 2. So you can do two different kinds, and also the height level is not prescribed, determined. Then, you have another student is Sakagami, who does it something like this, similar to Taira, also more on the center line of the body, not to the right or to the left, right? So everybody, there's a tiny difference for whatever reason. And then you got your Yamani-ryu, of course. The Yamani-ryu, it repeats the same technique. You can check it if you look at Yonegawa no Kun. Because there's only one Yonegawa no Kun, they're all the same. It doesn't matter which school, they're all the same basically. So there's no show, no diversion. It's the same Embusen. Sometimes you have kata, they have the same name but a different kata, because someone in the 60s or 70s they thought, oh, this is a great name, this is a great reference to Ryukyu's past and to Okinawa and to our folk and all that. So they took the name. I'm not sure if there was an actual personal transmission, not even to speak about hundreds of years or something, but probably they took a fragment and then they built a kata around it, right? So you take a fragment of which you might have seen, someone might have seen at some demonstration by a famous guy, and you do it to the front, to the right, to the left, backwards, then you add a bridge, then you add a beginning and an ending, and then you have a kata, right? This is how kata are created. So in the Yamani-ryu, it's a little different, because it's the same technique, but they do it as an attack. They do it more like this. So, right, it's not this anymore, it's not close to the body, it's not a block anymore, but even if it's a block, it's a Hatsushi block. It's kind of a block that is an attack at the same time, like this, right? And of course you can shift the levels. So instead of doing this, or this, or this, you would go to the front, more to the front. You would attack the leg, you would attack the hand, you would attack the head, you would strike from downwards up like this, like that, right? Or as I used to do when I'm going forward, I used to do this. So what I do at the point of this technique, which is Girabarai or Giranuke or whatever you would call it, I make it an attack, like that, like that. That. For instance, you threaten a buff, right? And you strike all. The simplest of all things, right? And so a technique that might look like this becomes like this. Okay? Very simple. But again, if you're an Asot guy, if you're an Association Kobudo guy, you need to keep the form that is 100% prescribed, like in an Evangelium, okay? So keep preaching your Evangelium. I was just telling you this. So, hey, wow. That's just beautiful attack, man. Beautiful attack. Get him behind, beautiful attack.